Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwame Shala. Kolim la Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Haha Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and about his spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Ahwa that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yahchanan Nawach. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the spirit. And this article is from Mediaite, and this is Tucker Carlson. Actually, it was a pretty decent show. I only got about 25 minutes into it almost, but it's an hour and 31-minute show. And, but pretty much the title on this is Putin advisor warns Russia will use nuclear weapons against Europe if it ever comes close to a defeat. So they pretty much like, hey, look, you kicking me while I'm down, I'm hitting a fucking button. Overall, and this is just more wars, rumors of wars, and it's 441 call William like Yahweh Bashmel Shai Bashim Kakadash. But not gonna play any of the video in here, but I'll read some of this. Sergei Karagovnov, a former advisor to Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Boris Yeltsin, warned Europe on Wednesday that Russia would use nuclear weapons against the continent should it ever come close to defeat. So they're not going back to the USS, when they was brought down before, they not going back to that. They like, fuck that, but overall, we know that prophetically, Russia and these European nations are going to actually be used to destroy America. So they're not going to be coming up and beefing with each other like that anyway, but these are wars, rumors, and wars, because it's prophetic that they're going to get down on America. These allies are going to get together, or they're going to ally with each other. America's allies are going to turn against them, and they're going to come against America, man. But it says, during an interview with Tucker Carlson, Karagovnov, the head of Russia's Council for Foreign and Defense Policy, which is close to Putin, called the idea of a Russian defeat by Europe a fantastic illusion, blaming such talk on the intellectual incapacity of European leaders. They like, man, look, y'all better cut it out, bro. Y'all better cut it out. What is defeat of Russia? If Russia comes ever close to a defeat, that would mean that Russia would use nuclear weapons and Europe will be finished physically, he warned. So, it's simply impossible even to think about it. But they have been talking because they need a war to rationalize their stay in power, to rationalize their existence. Well, this is Esau anyway. The wars, rumors of wars are drumming right now, man. Karagnov continued, everybody in the world now laughs at Europe. And they laughing at America too. Which used to be, by the way, one of the core centers of world power. Now it's a joke. And of course, I am not speaking of all Europe. We know that there are decent Europeans. There are smart Europeans. Carlson questioned, and they keep saying it's European, it's Russian, all these different names. They name themselves after these continents that they actually named. But they're actually Edomites. These are all Esau, Edomites, and they're all bragging about the sword that they've been blessed with. That's all that it is. What you think the nuclear might is? These are all Edomites. They're the only ones. It's 444 too. That's hey man, need mercy. Them fours going to mercy. But let's get Esau's sword, that blessing. Because you got China, they just had a parade, and they just, they mentioned, if the U.S. were to strike them, they would definitely do all in their might and power to demolish America, which they're all going to come together and do that. But you only hear of these Edomites. The Edomites are the only ones that's fronting, showing off their weapons and bragging about their weapons and talking about World War this, World War that, and nuclear war. It's them. So let me get Esau and that sword. And this is just to, because we have to identify Esau in these last days. That's a part of the prophecies, that this man be located. It's pretty much like an investigation, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the suspect, we got the description of the suspect. This is a part of the description of the suspect. Now, he's got to be run down and brought to justice, man. And that's what's going on with these Edomites right now. They're being pinpointed for who they actually are, and not hiding behind these continents that they are renamed, because none of those continents are biblical. It's only like a few that are, still as far as the name wise that's in the scriptures. But this is Genesis 25. No, Salakia, I want chapter 27. And this is Esau when he got his blessing. Because no one's fucking with Russia or America. These are complete superpowers. And they're Edomites. And those EU and NATO countries that, that bang with America, they're all Edomites too. So it's the Edomites that's running the planet. That's why that Second Esdras 6 and 9, it talks about Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Job 9 and 24 talks about how the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. They're running the planet, man. You cannot get around the fact that these people are running the atmosphere, the waters, the land. You name it, man. They got their hands on everything, and they ain't let nobody else get their hand. They running everything. It's just that simple, man. That's how we know that Job 9 and 24 is talking about them. The earth is the wicked is them. That's how we know who the wicked is. The border of wickedness, man. Esau. Genesis 27, let me start at verse 38. It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. Matter of fact, Tucker Carlson in that video, he was talking about how big Russia is. He said that Russia is bigger than China and who else did they say? And I think they said, damn, did they say India? I think he said India, China and India to put together. You can fit both of those countries within Russia and still have space. He said Siberia alone was just the size of, I think, of America or something like that. That is really a big landmass. So even Esau on that level has the fatness of the earth. Now you got these Edomites over here in the Americas. What was Trump and them saying last week? This hemisphere is ours. This whole western hemisphere is ours. So the other eastern part of it is being ran by Edomites as well. You got China, they got their little land. North Korea, South Korea, it's a couple of little spots, got their little lands. But see, Esau, he got the fatness of the earth, and he's running through this motherfucking, he talking about taking more stuff. These American Edomites are talking about taking over Cuba. They want Mexico. They renaming lands and shit, Gulf of America and all this shit. They want Greenland, So they're constantly trying to expand their empire, right? Because he can never have enough. But it says, verse 40, the point that I wanted to get, and by thy sword shalt thou live. They keep talking about these weapons that they have. Nuclear weapon, nuclear might. They're constantly working on a new weapon. They don't stop working on weapons, man. They test these weapons, they perfect them, and then they add to them and add to them and add to them. That's what Esau been doing since the days of Cain, man, with the dagger. A jagged rock, man. He done went from caveman with a goddamn hippopotamus bone to club your ass over the head with. He done weaponized everything, man. This is what it is. Okay, so it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Because we did have them, under suggestion at one point. But the point I wanted to get is, they have the sword. And that's what they're living by. This is what the talks are all about in this video that I was watching, which I want to watch the rest of it. But let's go back off into the article real quick. Get a little bit more of what this Edomite is talking. Prideful Edomite. All these Edomites are prideful. It says, this guy says everybody is laughing at Europe, but they're laughing at America too. Carlson questioned, when you say everyone knows that the Russian government, if pressed, would use nuclear weapons against Europe, do you mean that? Is my question. And do you think that the Europeans understand that? Arguing that Europeans have been intellectually degrading since the 1968 so-called student revolution, which killed most of European education, and because of the anti-meritocracy of the modern European, what is it, Slovakia? Modern European democratic system. He claimed that the leaders of the Europe were unable to understand what is happening fully. They believe that war would never come to their territory. That's what these Americans believe. They believe that too. You know, that's why that scripture, it talks about, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Esau believes that no matter where he's at. Actually, see, the Russians is you know, they've been invaded before. They took a hit, but they're at that point where they like, nah, not again. It'll never happen again. But they don't know that all of them are going into captivity. But America, though, Isaiah 47:1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. See? You're not going to no more be called tender and delicate, man. As a matter of fact, I think it's in, let me see, Slovakia. But they really believe that they can never take a hit. Slovakia, bear with me here. Revelation 18. And let me start at verse 5. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is the way these Americans think. That's Esau in general, but especially these Americans. Babylon the Great. These Babylonians, man. These Egyptians here. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judges her. So they can talk all the talk that they want to talk, but when it straight comes down to it, they're not going to be able to stop what's coming to their existence, so to speak, man. Esau is done, and they moving in that way too. You know that Revelation 12:12, it talks about how he will come down with great wrath because he know that he have but a short time. And man, it's so much shit going on. There's so many lessons to go into right now. It's just I've been watching lessons all day, but I've been seeing so much damn news popping up. It's like you can't even keep up with the shit going on. It's crazy, bro. It's so much information. I heard one of the elders, I think it was yesterday or the day before, was talking about how they be listening to videos. You know how you can turn up the speed on your video? You know, you can listen to it at you can turn it up, I think, to like 3 times the speed, but it kind of sounds like, you know what I'm saying, like really, really fast. But you know, some brothers they had the damn video playing like 2 times as fast just to get through videos, you know what I'm saying? Like I tried it. I was like, okay, bet, you know, I could turn it up a little bit because it do kind of, it just speeds the brother, up a little bit as he's speaking. But it you can kind of get through the video a lot quicker. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to miss out on nothing. But if you set it on a certain speed, it's just gonna speed it up just a little bit. But you can set that shit at 2. And it's just gonna, but I was just kind of laughing at that because there's so many videos and there's so many lessons going out that brothers be you speeding up the video just to get to the next one. You know what I'm saying? We cramming, so it's it's wild. But anyway, let me get back into this. Slovakia. What else did he say? He said, it's a lot. Oh shit, what did I do? What was that about the end of the video? I mean, I'm Slovakia. No, it's a little bit more. He says they believe that war will never come to their territory. They forgot about the war, and that is terrible, he said. Now, one of the tasks of Russia, in addition to all others, is to bring them to senses, hopefully without using nuclear weapons. He also criticized the Russian government for being too patient with Europe. See? So you got some of these Edomites like, man, we'll let your ass have it. But President Putin, he has been patient. But it's all prophetic. It's all spiritual. The timing is of the Lord. Matter of fact, let me get Proverbs 21:1. The timing is all on the Lord. No one can push buttons until the Lord wants buttons pushed, man. And all that free will shit. This right here is a perfect example of You don't have free will. This is on Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. See? These kings and leaders, these prime ministers, presidents, queens, whatever you want to call them, you know what I'm saying? Hell, even down to your McDonald's manager, a damn Burger King manager, or a CEO. The Lord is the one that have these people making these decisions, man. They're not just out here just I'm just gonna do what I want to do. That shit is not biblical. Because to have free will, you would have to be all knowing, and no one is all knowing except for the Father Yahweh. Even Yahweh Shai, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, said that only the Father knows the time, and that's another hit to you damn Christians that's talking about the Father. The Son is the Father. He's God. No context whatsoever, man. So let's just move on here. Let me see what else we got in here. It is not talking cash shit though, but that's Edomite talk though. That's all Edomite talk. Now they're gonna be used to destroy America, but they're going into captivity. The ones that's left of them. The ones that's left of them, they're going to get the business. They're going to get what's coming to them, too. They're not going to be out here ruling next, which that's something that they really think, though. They think that. Okay, what else does it say? It says, he criticized the Russian government for being too patient with Europe. I am criticizing my government of being too prudent and too patient with them, he told Carlson, adding. But sooner or later, if they continue to support this war, sacrificing numerous of the Ukrainians and others, we'll have to punish them severely, hopefully in a limited sense. Hey, man. Hey, but that's the wars, rumors of wars drumming. And watch, let me go into a couple of comments. You're going to see these proud-ass Americans in here talking all kinds of shit. Somebody says Russia cannot be defeated. The entire earth will be destroyed before that happens. The nation has the most nukes on the planet. If an all-out nuclear war were to occur, every country will be obliterated, including the United States. Human existence will cease. Somebody says not Africa, thank God. Hey, well, I mean, hey, Russia down with the BRICS, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, these nations, hey, it's enough of those BRICS nations to take out all this shit right off. Just Russia can do it in itself, but those BRICS nations, man, they got some nice status, man. But these countries are gonna be used to destroy America, man. It just is what it is. Somebody says Russia act like they're the only ones with nuclear weapons. See, that's not the point. But see, Russia got nuclear weapons that can't be detected. That's the thing. I don't think America has that capability. And America don't have no defense against Russia shit, but Russia got defense against what America would shoot that way. It is what it is, man, but they're like, again, these prideful ass Americans, they just think that they can never go down. And that's going to be a part of their main downfall. Look at Trump. Look at how he's moving right now. This guy's moving through the earth like he's untouchable for real, bro. He talking mad shit. He don't give a shit about nothing no more. He just really moving. He getting up out of bed like, this is what I want to do today. I'm going to do it. Fuck what anybody else got to say or think. Of course, he's being ruled by the elite, though. Look at this. I don't know why she think that's going to come out of there. I always watch people when they got them at the laundromat. They got these baskets, you know what I'm saying, where it's got a lever at the top of it where you can't just drag the shit out the door. And I always see women, you know what I'm saying, trying to pull that bitch out the door, and then they realize it catches at the top. Can't go no further. Anyway, though. Nukes on Europe. Do they know that weather patterns generally flow eastward, sending the radioactivity to Russia itself? Interesting form of suicide. Well, basically, what they said was, hell, if before we're defeated, we'll defeat your ass. So what are you talking about? That's the basis of the article. And they got stuff for stuff like that, man. That ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? They got shit for shit. Like, they be thinking all that shit through. Esau is a mastermind when it comes to these damn weapons, bro. See, here you go, somebody right here. Of course, that would be the last thing Russia ever did. 5 minutes later, there would be no more Russia. See, this is the way these do. Motherfucker, it wouldn't be no more you neither, doofy. Anyway, let me just grab this last. I'm at the laundromat again. Let me go here and grab all this shit up, man. Real quick. I'll do something real fast while I was sitting here. It's cold as shit in Michigan today. Boy, I think it was like -4 this morning. Whoo, was out shoveling some damn snow. Oh my. And I seen the Aki, he was out in the he was out, I think when the weather first got going, he was out, he had to kind of close his camp down earlier and stuff like that because it was coming down on him and stuff. But yeah, man, it's cold as shit last night. Anyway, let's get Matthew chapter 24. Let's see what Yahushua said. Now this is Matthew 24:3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? This is the important part. This is what we need to be focused on. You know what I'm saying? The coming of our Lord. Because this is what it all boils down to. The things that the Lord spoke of that will be happening just before his coming. Right? So now, they say Jesus. We use the true name of the Father and Son, Yahweh and Yahushai. Those are the true names of the Father and Son in the Paleo-Hebrew. Because there was no letter J. 1524, the letter J was invented. There was no letter J 2,000 years ago. No one was calling on Jesus. There was no Jehovah. None of those things. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord is not a Greek, which you'll hear Iesus or Iesus, because they used the letter I at the time before the letter J came in. And, you know, that's another lesson, more history to it. But the Lord's name is not Jesus. He's not some blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. The Father's name is Yahweh, which means he exists, or the existing one. And the true name of his Son is Yahushai, which means he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo-Hebrew. And I like to always bring that out in these lessons because you have new listeners. And you can look all this stuff up. Just Google when was the letter J invented. It's going to basically say 1524 by a grammarian named Giorgio Trissino. I think it was really like properly in use when they really started to kind of like use it was like late 1600s to early 1700s. So it was no letter J when the Lord walked the earth. So we know his name couldn't have possibly been Jesus. And don't let nobody tell you that it don't matter what you call him, because the name is very important. You see that in the scriptures too many times where you got to call on the Lord, call on the Father, and you got to go through the Father through his Son. So you got to know those names, man. That's Proverbs, I think, 30 and 4. You know, what's his name and what's my son's name, roughly paraphrasing. But anyway, let's see what Yahushua had to say to the disciples when they asked him about the end of the world. And also that word world goes into an age or society or kingdom or an empire. What's going to be the end of this particular government that we're in right now? That's what they're asking. And Yahushua answered in verse 4, Matthew 24:4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, or Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we're hearing the wars, rumors of wars. And see, when it comes to Ukraine, who's backing Ukraine? More Edomites. These EU, NATO nations, those are all so-called white people. It's all so-called white people infighting. You know? And the scripture talks about how a nation divided cannot stand. So this whole thing is caving, man. Verse 7, it says, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And you don't even hear about that Gaza shit no more. They fucked them Palestinians up over there and still fucking them up. And you don't even be hearing nothing about that like how you was at first. Because why? Trump came in, he started suing these universities, you know, and all these places where they were having all these Palestinian, and we know that's the small tops, the tiny hats, you know, the people that's over there that's bombing the shit out of them people. But, you know, they stopped all these protests, all that Palestinian shit. You know, Trump came in, signing executive orders on behalf of Israel, and they shut a lot of that down, you know, suing universities, keeping back funding from these universities. Remember, a lot of that was going on at, you know, these bigger universities, these campuses, and they cut all into that shit. So anybody out here protesting now, Even with this ICE shit that's going on, matter of fact, today he was talking about the what's it called, the Insurrection Act. He said that today. Matter of fact, Truth Social, his little social media hookup, where he talking about if those protests against ICE keep going on out there in Minnesota, he's gonna bring in that act and basically you out there protesting, because what they're calling them is professional agitators. So that's a new buzzword now. You're a professional agitator. It's not like you're protesting. They're not gonna. The word protester is out of the window when it comes to the right. No, those are not protesters. Those are they're Antifa. They're being paid to go out there and agitate and cause insurrections and to cause trouble. Basically, they're being paid. This is what they're called. You notice the new words that they're using. They're using new wordplay with that. So and that's Esau. He devised these cunning plans, man, to shut shit down and make shit go the way that he wants it to go. He directs the flow of, the media and the money and the laws, and he can come up with a damn law. Because Trump breaking all the laws. It's just that the laws are so lax here in America that, you can do some shit this year and you be going to court 6 years later. That's how lax it is. So Trump not worried about that shit. He like, man, look, I'll be dead by the time you motherfuckers get your lawsuits through and all this little sue me all you want. Sue the government, sue the DOJ, sue whoever the fuck you want. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna be already done what I want to do. So fuck you anyway. And it's gonna be too late. It's already too late. Anyway, but this is what's going on in the world. Russia they've been repeatedly saying this, though. This is not the first time this is somebody different. One of the head guys that's saying this stuff, man. You got the president of Belarus. Hey, he down with Russia. Matter of fact, that's where they situating the nuclear missiles at. Even closer to get at these European countries, man. And here you go, you got NATO, 30 or so countries against this one nation, Russia, and they scared to fucking go in there. Like, why you not going in there? You know why? Because they know Russia will hand their asses to business, man. They already know it. They know that they can't defeat Russia, man. America not going in there. Why you think Russia? You think America would run into Russia and try and take Putin like how they took President Maduro in Venezuela? No, America, these countries, they fuck with countries that they can go in and just overtake, and it's no problem. They don't want no real fight. That's just something about these Esau in general. They don't want no real fight, man. They cowards overall. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that for a sec. So hey, just know that the war drums is humming, baby. And these proud ass Edomites. This person says, why is Russia constantly fear mongering? Well, Edomites, that's what they do in general. It don't make no difference what country it is. America be fear mongering. But talking about using nuclear weapons, well, who the fuck else be talking? What did Trump just say this week? Nobody can fuck with us. We got the best weapons in the world. No one can do what we do. So it is what it is. Somebody says Russia isn't going to do shit because they will be wiped out themselves. But see, this is prideful talk. Somebody says I agree. Well, what the fuck are you agreeing to? That your ass gonna be blown to smithereens and them too? These people don't understand, man, what's about to come to this place, man. These nations are gonna come up against America. It's already happening. They seen that Venezuela Maduro shit. They see this nigga talking about going into Greenland. Their allies is looking like these motherfuckers is crazy here in America. They'll come and take all our shit. What's to say they're gonna stop with Greenland? Oh, we need France, or we need this, or we need, Anyway, just wanted to touch on that for a second. Pray that the lesson was edifying. With that, Kwame Inshallah and a Bible ball.